record our lesson. Okay, last lesson we stopped in HTML table adding a border. Now, if you do not specify a border for the table, it will be displayed without borders. A border is set using the CSS border property. Look, CSS I didn't explain before. We passed the CSS, and here table collapsed borders also they use the border collapse CSS padding also. That's why if I will not explain the introduction, the CSS, it will be difficult to like some text because cascading style sheet is a little bit different. Okay, now I will return to CSS now. Okay, here I have already opened here. Now, HTML styles CSS. What does it mean CSS? CSS is equal styles and the colors. Can you see styles and the colors? Manipulate text, colors, and the boxes. Manipulate. For example, manipulate. We understand like manage, right? Handle or control. And the styling HTML with CSS. CSS without HTML it cannot work because HTML web page you will design with CSS. That's why we have to learn CSS and the styling the HTML web page website with the CSS. CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets. Okay. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, and other media. CSS saves a lot of work, really a lot of work. If you will work only with HTML, you cannot like design like a CSS, and also you have to, for example, if you have a 100 web pages only HTML, if you change one web page, the design, you have to change another 99 web pages also. But with CSS, you will change only one time, and it will work for 100 web pages, also 500 web pages. That's why it saves a lot of work, really, and it can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. CSS can be added to HTML elements in 3 ways. Yes, 3 ways. First one, inline, by using the style attribute in HTML elements. I will explain, I will show after. Internal, by using a style element in the head section, in the one head section. And the external is there by using an external CSS file. You will create another file, and you have to save with CSS files. The most common way to add CSS is to keep the styles in separate CSS files. Yes, web developers, they prefer this, the last one, external one, because it's really easy. However, sometimes you need to use the internal and sometimes inline also. That's why we have to know 3 of them. However, here we will use inline and the internal style because this is easier to demonstrate and easier to for your try to it by yourself. Okay. You can learn much more about CSS in CSS tutorial. Yes, CSS in next term we will start the CSS programming. Okay. And now inline. And inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. And inline CSS uses the style attribute of an HTML element. This example sets the text color heading 1 element to blue. Look, this is the inline. Inline, it means H1. If you will change the style color blue, when you will continue in H1 in another heading 1, it will not work because this is only for this line. That's why this is an inline CSS. But in internal CSS is used to define a style for a single HTML web page, single page in one web page. An internal CSS is defined in the head section of an HTML page within a style element. Look, here was the also starts from the style. Okay, style. This is the tag, and here also starts with the style also. Now, after head in HTML, look here between the head, you can use the style tag. Open the and close the style tag. Look, style and the style, and you will give the body background color. You will give any color: powder blue, green, yellow, black. H1 color blue will be, and the paragraph, for example, red. This is a heading. This is the paragraph. Here is the one example. And here, external CSS. An external style sheet is used to define the style for many HTML pages. With an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing one file. To use an external style sheet, add a link to it in the head section of the HTML page. For example, here you have to give the href. You know, you have to create one file with the extension CSS. You can give any name, okay? And you have to give the link in your web page in between the head here, and your CSS will work because you have to call from another file. You can put in another folder also, it's also possible, and you will call, then it will come to here and it will work your CSS programming language. Okay, an external style sheet can be written in any text editor. The file must contain an HTML code and it must be saved with point CSS. Can you see point CSS extension? Here is the style CSS looks. Look, you can save like this, and here is the color, font family, font size. For example, in CSS, you can give the color, font family, and the another will continue. Okay. Now let's practice now. Last lesson, we did the table file. Let's open our file. Open file, all Control O. I'm using the Visual Studio Code all the time. Table example. Okay. Here we use the only one CSS style sheet. This is a inline, right? Inline style with 100%. For example, when I run this program, where is my program here? Output. Here. Yes. Look, Apple, iPhone 11, Galaxy S10, Lumia, and the Nokia. Here's the smartphones. Okay. Now we are using the CSS. We will do the design. Now, what we will do? Can you see this red centers? Normally, this the center. This before they used. Nowadays, in new technology, they don't use this because they use in CSS, for example. For example, in H2, if I want to, if only for this H2, the style, for example, I will type here style. Okay, and I will give the color. For example, what kind of color? When you type the color, it will give here the colors here in CSS. In CSS have these colors. You can choose the name or code also. For example, I will give, let's choose the aquamarine. Okay, now let's try. Smartphones, this word, heading 2 will be aquamarine. Okay, Control S, and the let's see, when I refresh, now is working, right? This is now aquamarine, the color, but is not in the center. Yes. Okay, we are doing it inline. Okay, now if I want to give another H2, I will type here, for example, one of the smartphones and tablets, for example. I want to give tablets. Okay. Control S and the tablets. Can you see these tablets? Sorry. These tablets also H2, but why didn't change this color? Because this is not a this is in inline. That's why if I want to change all the H2, if all the H2 will be the aquamarine or another color, for example, let's choose the another color, the better color. For example, let's choose the blue violet. Control S. Yes. Okay. Now I want to choose this all H2 will be in one style, and I have to give in internal design. I will give now in internal. This was the example of inline. For example, what we will do after the head, or here we have the meta chart set. Okay, I will after here I will open the one tag. This name is the style. This is the CSS style sheet. Now what I have to do, H2, and I have to open the braces. This is a curly braces, right? We say curly braces. Then I can give the color, for example, color, and the, for example, let's check dark blue, not cyan. Here is the okay. Then Control S. Look, smartphones in this with this color, the dark blue. But if I will type here H2, for example, tablets, Control S, then it will be the same color, right? Tablets also, because we use style for all this web page. This web page style will be the same. For example, if I will use the for T header, right? T header, table header. For example, table header, let's give the border. Let's give the border. Border how many? 1 pixel, and the solid will be, for example, black. Control S, let's save, and then let's check. Look, I gave the border here, only T headers. This is the header, Apple, Samsung, Nokia. But what about the this iPhone 11, Galaxy S, and the Lumia? If you want to give the another border, this is a T data was, right? T data. This is the T data. And for example, if I want to give for the all the table, for example, table and the t header, okay, not or t data. Let's just take the t data. And if I want to give the border, border will be how many pixels? Let's give the 1 pixel, and the solid will be another color. We can choose the for example, which color we can choose? For example, green or green yellow. Okay, let's choose green yellow. Control S. Let's refresh. Now our table, why we have also here is the this green yellow, because we choose the table here. That's why, because th is also the one of the table. That's why they give for all the this. And for example, I want to write a one paragraph here, p, just p, paragraph. Then you have to open the curly braces. Then paragraph, my paragraph will be, I will choose the font size. For example, small can be, medium can be. Look, you can choose here. For example, you can choose the size. I will give the medium. Okay. Then this paragraph, I am now designing the paragraph. This paragraph will be this paragraph color will be, what kind of color? Let's give the color. All these paragraphs color will be for example, indigo. And let's give the, after the font size, let's give the font family. What kind of font will be? Font family will be, for example, Times New Roman. This is one of the famous, right? Okay. Then after what we can give, okay, that's all. Then let's write the one paragraph here. After the tablets, let's write the one paragraph. We'll start using the p. P is the paragraph. For example, iPhone 11 Pro is the one of the best smartphones on the world. For example, this is the one of the paragraphs. For example, Control S. Let's save. When you refresh our paragraph, can you see the color? iPhone 11 Pro is the one of the best smartphones on the world. This here is the paragraph. And if I will use another paragraph, if I will write another paragraph at the end of the, for example, at the end of the our table, for example, one more paragraph, but I want to change, for example, paragraph style, for example. You can change here, style, you can change the color, and then your paragraph will change. But if you will type the, for example, Samsung is the South Korean company, for example. Paragraph, one more paragraph. Nokia is the Finland I think Finland, right? I don't know. Finland company. Control S. Look, Nokia is the Finland company. Samsung is the South Korean company. I have to put after the table, right? The end of table. Sorry, forget. Control S. Okay. Look, Samsung is the South Korean company. Nokia is the Finland company. iPhone is the USA company. This is the we do the introduction there today. CSS, for example. Look, font family Verdana, font size 300%, color blue. Then this is the internal style. This is the internal style. Where internal style will be in one web page. Border, you can give border 1 pixel solid border blue, and you can give the padding also. For example, the space between the text and the border. For example, padding 30 pixels. Let's give the padding, for example, here. Padding the our not paragraph. Let's give the for our not paragraph, our table. Our table, for example, padding will be how many? 30 pixels. You can give in centimeters, millimeters, also possible. Control S. Let's see. Look, padding is there. How many pixels? 30 pixels. You can give them more padding. For example, 50 pixels, 8 pixels. Okay, then you will choose your own style, own design. Refresh. Look, 50 pixels. Now, also you will give the in CSS margin also 50 pixels, 100 pixels, 60 pixels outside the border, space margin outside the border. Okay, and the ID attribute, define a specific style for one special element, add an ID attribute to the element. Here is the ID. You will give the for paragraph P01. I am a different. For example, here will be ID here. Then you can use this ID all the time. Then that ID will be only for this paragraph, for example. When you use this ID, it will show your only this paragraph, and for this ID you will choose one style, one design. Then it will this design you will repeat in your web pages. Then define a style for the element with the specific ID. Look, here is the specific ID. For color is the blue, and the class attribute. The class attribute to define a style for special types of elements. Add a class attribute to the element. You can give also the class also. For example, this class is error. I'm a different. Paragraph will be error. When error will be, it will show the color will be red, for example. This is the one of the class. And external references, for example, external style sheets can be referenced with a full URL or with a path relative to the current web page. This example uses full URL to link to a style sheet. Here is the one of the link here. Link real style sheet href https www.3schools.com html style css. And also here is the another example in the current website. And Example links to a style sheet located in the same folder as the current page. If it will be in same folder, you can use also. Look, students, now you can read more file paths in the chapter HTML file path. Style we use in CSS, this HTML style. And the link, we have already known how to put the link and a hyperlink also. Head, color, font family, font size, border, padding, margin, all of them are in CSS. Okay, this font family, font size, border, padding, margin. And today I will finish my lesson. We start the introduction of the CSS, how to use the border, padding, margin, font family, color with it. I gave some examples here in our web page. You will practice these exercises at home, and you will improve your own website. Now you have your own website. Now we start to how to design your website and the web pages. In your website there are many web pages, and that's why you can use the this style sheet, okay, cascading style sheet. For example, we did the border, color, and the font family, and also we give the font size. And my advice, continue your web page with these examples. Try by yourself. And here, next lesson, we will continue the tables. Now you know how to use the CSS, the style sheets. Okay, we have here also. If you have questions, you can ask. If you don't have any questions, I will give the homework, and